all entity types. And as you may know, the FTA has published decision number 3 for 2024 about a registration timeline for corporate tax, where legal entities need to register for corporate tax based on the issuing month of the trade license. Today, we will walk you through the timelines specified for registration of taxable persons for corporate tax and the demo of the process of registering and forming corporate tax group. We hope that this session will provide you with the necessary information required to help you complete your corporate tax registration. During the webinar, a survey is available for you to provide feedback for the session. Before we start, please make sure to follow these steps. If you are using a mobile phone, make sure to visit your mobile setting and look for WebEx Meet, then allow WebEx Meet to access your microphone. We will back in 5 minutes to allow more people to attend. Hello again. We will walk you through the agenda for today. We will go through the introduction to the session along with a brief of Federal Tax Authority Decision Number 3 of 2024, the timeline for registration of taxable person for corporate tax. We will then provide a demo of the registration process in addition to forming a corporate tax group and summarize the key takeaways from the session. At the end, there will be a short Q&A session. The question will be limited to corporate tax registration process, and for any technical information, please refer to the FTA awareness sessions, which is available on our official website. With this, I hand over to my colleague, Ms. Roda Al-Meheri, to walk you through the webinar.
Thank you so much, Nasser, for taking us through today's agenda. We will start with the introduction of the webinar. We have been scheduled this webinar to walk you through the timeline specified on corporate tax registration process, in addition to how to register for corporate tax and form a corporate tax group on Emirate Tax. Kindly note, if you are already registered for VAT and excise tax, then the form for corporate tax registration will be pre-populated on the basis of the information available from Emirate Tax. However, you can update the pre-populated information that is editable. And for those taxpayers who are not registered for VAT or excise tax, but are required to register for corporate tax, then the registration form will need to be populated with all the required details. And for taxpayers who are members of a VAT group, they will be required to register separately as individual legal entities for corporate tax purposes, and members can then make an application to form a separate corporate tax group. And as mentioned by Nasser, there will be a question and answer session at the end of the webinar to answer any questions related to corporate tax registration. Moving to the Federal Tax Authority Decision number 3 of 2024 that prescribes the timeline for registration of taxable persons for corporate tax purposes. So let's start with the first category of the resident juridical persons, including free zone persons who were incorporated, established, or recognized before March 1st of 2024. So you will need to match your months of license issue date with the deadline to apply for the corporate tax registration as prescribed in Article 3. For example, if your month of license issue date is in June, your deadline will be 31 August 2024. And if your month of license issue date is in July, your deadline will be 30 September of 2024. And in case if your month of license issue date is in August or September, your deadline to apply for corporate tax registration will be 31st of October 2024. And in case if it's in October or November, your deadline will be 30 November of 2024. And in case if your month of license issue date is in December, your deadline will be 31st of December 2024. And in the case if a juridical person does not have a license, your deadline will be 3 months from March 1st of 2024. Moving to the next category of the resident juridical persons, including free zone persons who were established or recognized on or after March 1st, 2024. Starting with the person who is incorporated, established, or recognized under the applicable legislation of another country or foreign territory, and who is effectively managed and controlled in the UAE. Their deadline for applying for the tax registration application will be 3 months from the end of the person's financial year. And for the person who is incorporated or otherwise established or recognized under the applicable legislation in the UAE, including a free zone person, their deadline will be 3 months from the date of incorporation, establishment, or recognition. Moving to the non-resident juridical persons before March 1st of 2024. For the person who has a permanent establishment in the country, their deadline will be 9 months from the date of starting the permanent establishment. And for the non-resident juridical person with an access in the UAE, their deadline will be 3 months from March 1st of 2024. Moving to the non-resident juridical persons on or after March 1st, 2024. For the person who has a permanent establishment in the country, their deadline will be within a period not exceeding 6 months from the date of starting the permanent establishment. And for the non-resident person with a nexus in the UAE, their deadline will be within a period not exceeding 3 months from the date of establishing the relationship. Moving to the last category of the natural person conducting business or business activity. Starting with a resident natural person who runs a business or carries out business activity during the calendar year 2024 or subsequent years, and whose total turnover generated for each Gregorian calendar year exceeds the limit specified in the relevant tax legislation. Their deadline will be 31st of March of the following Gregorian calendar year. Moving to the non-resident natural person who runs a business or carries out business activity during the Gregorian calendar year 2024 or subsequent years, and whose total turnovers generated exceeds the limit specified in the relevant tax legislation, their deadline will be 3 months from the date of fulfilling the conditions set out to determine taxable persons. Moving to the corporate tax registration demonstration, we will walk you through the corporate tax registration process. So you will need to go to the Emirate Tax portal first. You will log in with your registered email address along with the password and the security code showing on your screens. In case if you forgot the password, you can click on Forgot Password and you will receive an auto-reply email on how to reset your password. So once you log in, it will take you to the taxable person list where you will proceed with the taxable person profile. You would like to proceed with the corporate tax registration. You will go to the registration type where it says corporate tax and you will click on Action Register. Once you click on register, you will have the corporate tax registration service details where you can go through them and click on the checkbox at the end that you confirm that you've read the instructions and guidelines. You will start with the first step, which is the entity type, the entity subtype, and the date of incorporation. You will upload the certificate of incorporation either in PDF or document format. You will add the corporate tax period, the exact corporate tax period, and you will proceed to the next step, which is the identification details, where you will add the main license details such as the trade license issuing authority, trade license number, trade license issue date, and trade license expiry date. You will add as well your legal name in English and legal name in Arabic, along with the trade name in English and trade name in Arabic. Once you enter all the above information, you will upload the trade license copy as a PDF or document. And kindly note, for previous users in Emirate Tax for VAT or excise tax, your information will be pre-populated. So kindly make sure to update any outdated information and upload a validated copy of each document. You will move to the business activity where you will click on add business activity and you will add the industry, main group, subgroup, and the activity code will show. You will move to the owners list where you will click on add owner and you will add the owner type, either legal or natural person, and you will enter the first name in English, last name in English, first name in Arabic, and last name in Arabic. If the owner does hold a valid Emirates ID, you will click on yes and you will enter the required details and upload the required documents. If not, you will click on no and you will upload the required and add the required information such as the passport number, the issuing country of the passport expiry date, and you will upload a copy of the passport that should be PDF or document format. Once you make sure that all the given information is provided and the document is uploaded successfully, you will move to the ownership start date of the owner. So you will enter the exact ownership start date and the shareholding percentage. And for any owners with a 25% or more, they should be registered under the owners list. You will proceed to the next step, which is the third step, the contact details. You will enter the country, the building name and number, the street, area, city, and emirate. Once you enter all the information, you will move to the contact details of the mobile number by adding the country code along with the mobile number and the country code along with the landline number. You will enter the registered email address or email ID that should be validated, and you will have the PO box as an optional. Once you click on next step, in case if you miss any information, the red boxes will guide you where did you miss the information. So you will go back to the red boxes and fill it in to proceed to the next step. Once you click to next step, it will be the last step of the authorized signatory where you will click on add authorized signatory. Once you click on add authorized signatory, you will need to enter the information of the authorized signatory such as the first name in English, last name in English, first name in Arabic, and last name in Arabic. You will enter the country code along with the mobile number and the email ID of the authorized signatory. You will need to enter the exact designation of the authorized signatory and upload the authorized signatory valid Emirates ID in case if they have it. If not, you will need to enter the passport details such as the passport number, passport issuing country, passport expiry date, and you will upload the passport copy as a PDF or document. Once you enter all the above information, you will add the source of authorization, either a POA or MOE, and you will upload it as well as a PDF or document. Once all information is given and provided, you will click on add and you will proceed to the last step, which is reviewing and declaring that all the given information is accurate and up to your knowledge and belief. So you will go through all the steps and you will click on the checkbox at the end to submit your application. So once you click on the checkbox, you will click on submit yes, and your application has been submitted successfully to the FTA. You can go back to the portal where you can view your corporate tax registration status, where it says it's in review, and you will have the application reference number. So let's discuss some of the common issues that are impacting the corporate tax registration process that we've mentioned in the previous demo. You will need to ensure that the correct entity type and entity subtype is selected to proceed with your application. And as we've mentioned, if you are already registered in Emirate Tax, please ensure to update your identification documents. And for shareholders with a 25% or more shareholding, they must be registered under the ownership details. And the incorporation date must match the company's commencement date stated in the MOE. And last but not least, you will need to verify the exact tax period. Moving to forming corporate tax group demonstration, and before we get into the demo, I would like to highlight some key points in forming the corporate tax group. We've divided the demo to 3 sections, and the structure of the form will be 3 main steps. For the first step, it will be where the parent company raises a request for the subsidiaries to form the corporate tax group, and if approved by at least one subsidiary, the parent company can proceed with the application. Second step or second demo will be where the subsidiary accept or reject the request from the parent company. So the first 2 steps and the first 2 demos will be just between the parent company and the subsidiary, where the last step or the third demo will be where the parent company can proceed with the final application to the FTA. So let's start with the first demo of the parent company raising the request to the subsidiary. You will log in, you will go to the taxable person profile you would like to proceed with. You will go where it says corporate tax. Once you click on corporate tax, you will have the CT group form tax group. You will click on view all, and we will explain now the steps to be taken by the parent company for submitting the request to the subsidiary to form the corporate tax group. So you will click on form tax group request for the subsidiary. You will click on new request to initiate the request for the subsidiary's application. You will click on yes and proceed to start with the procedures. You will have the instructions and guidelines page to help you understand certain important requirements relating to forming the corporate tax group, such as the expected time to complete the application, the required documents, and you will have the tutorial materials. You will click at the end on the checkbox to confirm that you've read the above instructions and guidelines. Once you click on the checkbox, you will click on start the steps of raising the request to the subsidiary. So the first step will be the details of the tax group of the parent company, where it will be divided into three sections. The first step is related to the parent company. The second step is related to the information of the subsidiary, where you will need to enter their TRNs. And the last step will be reviewing and declaring. And in order to move from one section to the next, all mandatory fields of the current section must be entered. And the fields where it will be optional, it will be marked as optional next to the field name. You will need to ensure that all the documents submitted supports the information of your parent company. So you will have the option either to cancel or save as draft or proceed to the next step. So in this demo, we will proceed to the next step, where we will have the information of the subsidiary. So you will click on Add TRN to add the TRN of the subsidiary that is requested to form the tax group, and you can add more than TRN if required. You will enter the TRN of the subsidiary and click on Add. Once you click on Add, you will select Yes to proceed with your application. And after completing all mandatory fields, click on Next Step to save your information and proceed to the last step, which is reviewing and declaring all the given information that should be accurate. And you will click on the checkbox at the end after reviewing carefully all the information, and you will click on Submit. With that, your request has been successfully submitted to the subsidiary. So now let's move to the next demo of the parent company of the subsidiary approving the parent company request. So let's start with logging in by the subsidiary's email, and you will go to the profile you would like to proceed with. You will go to the corporate tax, and you will click on pending requests to view the requests received from the parent company. So you will click on actions, review. Once you click on review, you will receive all the requests pending. So once you click on view, you will have the main page of the service details, where you can go through them all and click on the checkbox at the end. Once you click on the checkbox, you will click on start for either accepting or rejecting the parent company request. So once you click on the checkbox, you will click on start and you will proceed with the request. So you will have three main steps. The first step will be the details of the parent company. The second step will be the information related to your company, which is the subsidiary, and the last step will be reviewing and declaring all the given information. You are requested to ensure that the document submitted supports the information entered by you in the application, and all the documents and details should be up to date and validated. You will need to enter all the required information, and for the grey out area, it will be pre-populated, so no need to touch it. You will proceed by clicking on next step, where it will be the information related to the subsidiary. You will just make sure that your TRNs and all the information is accurate, and you will click at the end on yes to proceed to the next step. Once you click on next step, it will be the last step of reviewing and declaring all the given information, and you will have the chance at the end either to reject or approve the request from the parent company. So once you click on the checkbox at the end that you confirm that the information provided by you is true, accurate, and best to your knowledge and belief, you can click on approve to provide your approval to form the tax group, or you can click on reject to reject the request. If approved, the approval notification will be sent to the parent company to proceed with the final application. So let's the final application that should be submitted by the parent company to the FTA. So the previous two steps were mainly between the subsidiary and the parent company, where this last step will be from the parent company to the Federal Tax Authority. So you will click on Form Tax Group Final Application, and you will click on New Request. You will select Yes to proceed with the application and click Proceed to continue. Once you click on Continue, you will have the service details for forming the tax group final application, where you can find the expected time to complete the application, the expected fees for the service, the required documents, and about the service. You will confirm at the end that you have read the above instructions and guidelines, and you will click on Start. Once you click on Start, you will proceed with the final application that have been divided into 4 short sections, each section being represented in the progress bar, and the current section will be highlighted in blue color to show you where you are pending or where you need to fill in the information. Once you make sure that you've read all the instructions and guidelines, you will start with the first step of the details of the tax group parent company, and you will go through the pre-populated information and make sure that all of them are accurate and updated. So you cannot make any amendments to the grey out fields in this section, but you will need to enter the name of the tax group in English and the name of the tax group in Arabic. You will click Yes to proceed with the application, and you will have the chance as well either to cancel or save as draft and proceed to the next step. So we will proceed to the next step, and it will be mainly the subsidiary information. So it will be the information related to the subsidiary displayed in this section, where you can review it and click on next step, which is the tax group additional details. You will enter the accounting standards used by the tax group and the tax period from which the tax group will be affected. You will need to select Yes to proceed with the application, and you will click on Next Step. Once you click on Next Step, you can review and declare that all the given information is accurate and all the entered documents are validated, and you will click on the checkbox at the end of the page. So after carefully reviewing all the information, you will click on Submit, where you will submit the final application to the FTA, and your application has been submitted successfully to the FTA. And it usually takes us 20 business working days to approve your application. And if there are any clarifications to be done from your side, we will send you back the application with our comments so you can see the status and your application, where is it pending. So let's move to the key takeaways of today's webinar. As mentioned by my colleague Nasser at the beginning of the webinar, that the corporate tax registration is now available for all entity types except from the federal government entity and emirate government entity. Kindly read the Federal Tax Authority Decision Number 3 of 2024, which was effective on 1st March 2024, that prescribes the timeline specified on corporate tax registration based on your trade license issuing month that we've discussed in the first slides of today's webinar. Additionally, kindly read the corporate tax clarification on registration timeline for taxable person. And for those taxpayers who are not registered for VAT or excise tax but are required to register for corporate tax, then the registration form will need to be populated and filled by the taxpayer with all the required details. Kindly read the terms and conditions of Article 40 for forming the corporate tax group and check the tax group guide as well. Once the registration process is completed, the FTA will review the submitted application within 20 working days and may require additional information in order to process your application. Upon the approval of the application, you will be notified by email and be issued with the corporate tax registration number. With that, I'll hand over to my colleague Nasser Al-Ali.
Thank you, Roda, for providing clear instructions on how to register for corporate tax and forming tax group. Before moving to the Q&A session, please follow us in our social media channels to stay updated on upcoming workshops and access our services. And now we will leave the QR code of the survey on the screen. Your participation is greatly appreciated to learn more about your experience in today's session. Thank you to everyone for participating in the survey. We will now move on to the Q&A session. Hello, Roda again. We have received common questions through FTA channels, and we need to provide answer. The question one, Roda, is the corporate tax TRN different from VAT TRN?
Yes, these are different TRNs. A TRN consists of 15 digits, with the last digit representing the tax type. For corporate tax, the last digit is 1. Taxpayer will be required to register for UAE corporate tax even if they are already registered for VAT.
Thank you, Roda, for the answer. The second question, Roda, do we need to register separately for the branches of UAE juridical person?
UAE branches of a UAE juridical person are not required to separately register or file for UAE corporate tax. Branches are not separate legal persons from the head entity and therefore do not need to register separately, but the details of the branches need to be included in the registration application of the head entity.
Thank you, Rhoda. Rhoda, if I am a newly incorporated limited liability company, do I need to register for corporate tax?
Yes, all taxable persons, including newly incorporated LLCs, should register for corporate tax.
Thank you, Rhoda. Rhoda, if I am a natural person or I am a natural person, turnover does not exceed $1 million dirham, are they required to register and file a tax return?
Natural person is only required to register and file a tax return only when their turnover exceeds the threshold of 1 million dirham within a Gregorian calendar year.
Thank you, Rhoda. If I am an LLC incorporated in the UAE and want to claim small business relief, do I still need to register for corporate tax?
Yes, and as prescribed by the corporate tax law, all juridical taxable persons will be required to register for UAE corporate tax and obtain a corporate tax registration number regardless of the level of their revenue in that tax period.
Rhoda, before the last question, how can I register a tax group?
As we've mentioned in the demos and as we explained today, all companies will be required to register separately. Legal entities that wish to form a corporate tax group are required to register individually first and then may apply to form the corporate tax group.
Thank you, Rhoda. And we are reaching the final question. Will a free zone entity be required to register and file a UAE city return?
Yes, all free zone entities will be required to register and file a corporate tax return, irrespective of whether they are a qualifying free zone person or not.
Thank you, Rhoda, for your time and for providing clear answer to the questions. And now we are reaching the end of this session. Thank you everyone for attending today's workshop. Please visit our official website and follow our social media to stay updated on our event and activities related to corporate tax. Thank you and have a lovely day.